وجب الشكر علينا لا دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت المدينة مرحبا يا خير داع
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
The horizon, sand dunes form in the distance. He's up and out in an instant.
The crowd, 5, 4, 3.
Speeding, a man appears from afar. Could it be the one sent by Allah? He shouts, here comes the prophet. His face is a light that drives out the darkness. Words are alive, his message is living. Joy everywhere, our voices are singing.
3, 2, 1. Welcome. Get ready
for another episode of the Y Factor 2012.
We have Y Factor, success and prosperity.
You just did not do that on air.
What's wrong?
You've obviously been spending too much time with your grandma over the holidays.
Yeah, I love my grandma. She's the best. She's going to feed me after the episode, so I can't wait.
All right, so it's 2012. We're here again at the Y Factor for more action-packed episodes.
Don't use the word action-packed.
I know, that was our New Year's resolution, hey?
Yeah.
Not to say action-packed at the beginning of every episode.
We're going to say 2012 instead of 2012 because I think that's an awesome term.
All right, are you going to copyright it too?
Yeah, we're going to copyright. It's a Y Factor copyright. But you know what? It's been a huge 2011, but 2012 is going to be even bigger.
I know, alhamdulillah, we had many international lecturers, artists and guests. We had local guests, local talent, and it was just such a good year, mashallah. I feel like the youth achieved so much. We had our ups and downs within the community, but I think overall 2011 really did have that feel to it, you know, like 2011.
Yeah, and there's a sense of obviously the Middle Eastern uprisings, you know, had a domino effect right around the world, but even the Muslim community in Sydney, you could feel a sense of revival in the sense that Muslims were turning back to their deen, whether it be on a basic individual level, as a community, as a whole. More people actually concerned about community affairs.
That's right, especially the last week of 2011, mashallah, we had all the, to quote you, powerhouses of the international Muslim community in Sydney, and it was just so good to see that rejuvenation take place within the Muslim community, that breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air. Right.
You're making me sound inarticulate.
Yes. And it was just really good. And inshallah, that's the ambience that we're taking into 2012. And that's what our episode will be about this week.
That's right. We're going to interview young Muslims and their hopes and desires and ambitions for 2012 after experiencing the massive year that was 2011. So we're going to have them on all today. It's all about you young people.
What you have to say, what you have to think, and how you feel. And again, the Y Factor discussion page is there on Facebook. We'd love it. Alhamdulillah, it's been very active, and it's really nice to see young people engage, young people turn to other young people for ideas, for inspiration, and I think overall it's actually been a pretty good success. So Y Factorians on the Y Factor Facebook page, keep it up. The discussions are actually monitored by quite a few elders within the Muslim community,
powerhouses in the community.
Exactly, and we've gotten direct feedback to say it's actually really nice to see the youth engage in such a manner and actually have passion about issues. Yeah. They kind of thought, we're too busy with our, I
think it's a page to go to on Facebook. It's a page for young people to express their views if they want their opinions heard about certain topics. New Year's Eve, created a lot of hype around whether or not Muslims should celebrate. We had the Malik Fahad stint, or the saga, as I like to call it, the public v private school system that happened a few months back. Also the Ramadan moonsighting wars, we cannot forget them. They made headlines. Even it made bloody, newspaper headlines. The SMH covered a story about it. So our issues are, very prevalent in the community, but it's good to see young people actually concerned about the affairs of the Muslim community, and there is passion and sincerity, alhamdulillah. So keep it up on the Y Factor, as Tasneem said. You Y Factorians, you're special to us, and a lot of elders are listening to our page. Aside from ASIO, there are actually people who are genuinely interested in our page. I think
was a joke.
I don't know about that.
I'd hope it was a joke. Anyway, alhamdulillah, I think we're ready and we're pumped. So how about we get started on the news for this week?
The Y Factor.
So Tasneem, for the first week of 2012, what's happening on the international scale in regards to news?
Well, Iran, US and Russia have some things going on. A US carrier was actually in Iran for 10 days in the Gulf, and basically Iran shot a couple of missiles at it. And their Brigadier General Tolla Salehi told reporters, "We advise and insist that this warship not return to its former base in the Persian Gulf. We don't have the intention of repeating our warning. We only warn once." Now, this was a stern, warning to America. Now, it's actually really interesting because Russia has come out and said Iran has no long-range missiles. Iran does not have the technology to create intermediate or long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles. And this is what the spokesperson for Russia actually said.
One of the active members on Facebook actually mentioned, World War III. They put up the proposition of World War III. It's America v. Russia. So, and Iran's involvement in that. So that's a very interesting take, Tasneem.
I mean, it's really interesting too because France and the European partners actually want the sanctions on Iran ended by the end of January. But there's a lot of talks going back and forth. And you know what, honestly, this region at the moment, after the Arab Spring, it's actually really susceptible. And it feels like it's just a volcano waiting to erupt. We just hope, waiting to see what's going to happen.
Speaking of talks, the Taliban from Afghanistan, the neighbouring country of Iran, is trying to organise talks with the American government in Qatar. Now, the Afghan government is furious that they are not having a say in these talks. And you might be interested as to why Qatar, out of all places.
I know, I was just going to say.
Yeah, Qatar is basically, from a geopolitical perspective, they're trying to establish themselves as, the democratic gem of the Middle East. They're competing directly with the UAE, so they're trying to punch above their weight. I mean, you can't compete with the tallest building in the world or the only two man-made islands in the world that the UAE can produce. But it's very interesting, and these next few months will prove very exciting if you're interested in the Middle East politics.
I mean, no one even knew what the hell Qatar was before Al Jazeera, so I think it's getting on the map. It's getting somewhere. But again, it's actually interesting to see that to see Afghanistan and America having talks, and not just with the corrupt warlords, but actually with the Taliban, who they previously saw as enemies. I mean, they still see them as enemies, but I think it's kind of like, if you can't, kill your enemy, win them over.
Absolutely. And the Afghan government actually, they flew back their ambassador in Qatar to have talks with him. So they're obviously furious that America hasn't considered them in these negotiations, but it'll be very interesting, as I said, to see what pans out from that.
The Y Factor.
Mohammed, just when we thought that it was the end of chucking shoes at, world leaders to make political statements, in Indonesia, something's happening?
That's right. Indonesia has found a new symbol of hope for their growing frustration at the uneven justice in the system. Now, it is a young democratic nation, and a 15-year-old boy has been arrested by police for basically shoplifting some shoes. Now,
it wasn't really shoplifting. He stole the old pair of sandals from outside a boarding house used by police in northern Indonesia. Now, basically, the uproar has come about because people are like, this is insane. The government is actually, all corrupt. They're having the millions stashed. And then they're arresting, and putting this 15-year-old boy on trial because he actually stole these pair of sandals.
Aside from the trial, he was actually interrogated and badly beaten by 3 officers. Now he faces up to 5 years in prison if he's found guilty. That's the same sentence given to people who are found to be terrorists, drug pushers or rapists. So a young child, a 15-year-old child stealing a pair of sandals, I'm not condoning his actions, but I would
very
not
harsh treatment.
That's a
but it's
very
actually interesting. So in response to the trial, what the Indonesians did was get their old worn flip-flops and then chuck them at the buildings. And this was a protest, like the guy just stole an old pair of flip-flops. Get over
I like that. A new symbol of hope. Go the thongs.
Go the thongs.
The Y Factor.
I, Queen Elizabeth II, hereby award the former Prime Minister of Australia, John Howard, with the exceptional distinction in the arts, learning, sciences and other areas such as public service, and hereby award him with the Order of Merit as a mark of honour.
That's right, Mr. Eyebrows got the New Year's honorary list. There are only 24 individuals living in the Commonwealth countries at any one time who actually get this exceptional award. And he's actually get this. Former recipients include Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and Canadian Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. I can't say that one.
That was a good attempt.
But it's actually interesting comparing him with Margaret Thatcher. But yes, Mr. Eyebrows got the award, so kudos to him and to Australia.
And I've seen his interview on TV. He was actually very ecstatic for winning the award, and when asked by the journalist if he accepted the invitation, he said, "Of course I did." So this is Mr. Howard, I guess, climbing the ranks in the Queen's eyes. Good on him.
The Y Factor.
In saucier news, Saudi hackers claim that they will post personal information of 400,000 Israelis.
A Saudi hacking group titled Group XP claimed on Monday that they penetrated one of Israel's leading sports websites, and they're going to release the personal information of hundreds of thousands of Israelis.
That's right. An Israeli credit card company said Monday that the list is repetitive. However, they actually did block all the cards on the list, and they will return to customers their money of should any purchases actually be made on the card.
Now, I know that hackers, and I'm stereotyping by saying this, and it's a wild generalization, but they tend to be from the Asian continents.
Like
because,
geeky stuff.
Yeah, I guess we experienced that with the ATM machines in Sydney.
Well, I wonder what Group XP stands for, like in Saudi Arabian lingo.
I don't know. It sounds interesting.
I think it's competition to our listeners if you can actually guess what XP stands for.
I highly doubt there's a fatwa allowing this Group XP to go about their hacking business, but
I mean, if it's
interesting
directed
coming out of
against
Saudi
Israel,
Arabia.
yeah, that's right. Because usually the news, I don't know, like, you think, and this is so not true, but you just think desert and stuff. But mashallah, they are one of the most technological countries. Basically the whole country is a silicon chip. However, that's the group and that's their Israeli activities.
Speaking of Israel, the Imam of the Ground Zero Mosque has actually called for a peaceful pilgrimage to Israel, saying that there should be a sacred month during which the Muslims, the Jews and the Christians cease all hostilities and make a pilgrim to Israel.
That's right, Mohammed. Imam Faisal Abdul Rauf, known for his controversial plan to actually build the mosque near Ground Zero, said that he took the idea from the traditional pilgrimage to Mecca. He said that during the annual pilgrimage, the Arabs always used to be hostile towards each other. However, during this time, they actually bonded. And he said not from a demographic sense, but from what being a Jew really actually means. If they're the chosen children of God, they should allow people to actually come in and do this pilgrimage.
Now, the Kuwaiti-born cleric is actually quite credible, Tasneem. He was listed by Time magazine in 2011 as one of the most influential people in the world. So he has, I guess, a strong backing behind his statements, but I find it very innovative. That move to start a new pilgrimage. I see the wisdom behind it to remove hostilities and tensions and animosity between
I don't know if he means it like
faiths.
I don't even know if he means it in a theological sense, like to actually starting a new Hajj. I mean, there is a hadith about the three holiest sites, including Jerusalem. But again, just news of this was this news article was from the Haaretz, and it's just sending shockwaves down.
Yeah, and look, he actually said, in this piece of land, God wants us to make it. If we can figure it out here, it will have an impact globally. So logically, it makes sense.
So we'll wait and see what happens from that region, inshallah.
The Y Factor.
Mohammed, did you know that China has a Muslim population of 20 million?
Allahu Akbar.
That's right. 20
and they're not
million.
happy. 20 million not happy Muslims isn't something that your government would want to know.
That's right. Now, the unhappiness is stemming from the fact that the Chinese government is actually cracking down on visible symbols of worship, especially mosques. And on Friday, in the town of, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it, I'm so sorry, after a mosque was actually declared an illegal religious place, and about 1,000 officers arrived to demolish it, and the Hong Kong-based Information Centre for Human Rights and Advocacy said that 50 people were injured, and the basically clashes occurred outside the place of worship.
That's very sad news, and I think, I don't know, from a government's perspective, the highest insult one can project to a religious minority, and I only say religious minority, I know they're 20 million, but 20 million in
the
a country
of China,
that has the most popular, most populous country in the world, is to destroy a symbol of worship. And a mosque, just like a temple, a Jewish temple, a Hindu temple, or a church, is a house of God. So I find this, I resonate with the angry Muslims who are protesting and trying to better apologize for what they've done. I
mean, they're not apologizing at all. They've actually got the police coming in, and they're using tear gas. They've used knives and batons to kick back the ethnic Hui, how do you pronounce that? The Muslim protested in the village, and this is not the first time they actually protest. So subhanallah, the plight of the people in China is huge, and our prayers are with them, and hopefully they actually get more recognition within the Muslim world. Come on, 20 million is huge.
The Y Factor.
Okay, Tasneem, you're not going to believe the next piece of news.
Bring it on.
Okay. Members of the Church of England have complained that the spread of halal meats was, and I quote, effectively spreading Sharia law across Britain.
That's right. They actually said that it's actually very offensive to the non-Muslims who are being misled into eating halal meat. The MPs in Westminster actually rejected the pleas of Muslims to actually have halal meat served in the restaurants in Westminster. And the Muslim MPs have actually said that they want this meat slaughtered and served according to the Islamic traditions. And Lord Ahmed Rotherham said that I don't feel misled. I think halal option should be made available. Now,
the Palace of Westminster rejected demands to serve halal meat in its restaurants. I think that's what sparked the original backlash. But it's just funny saying the Lord of Rotherham.
Yeah, Ahmed, no.
The Lord Ahmed of Rotherham. I guess that's a political makeup, though, of the system.
Well, the stance has actually infuriated some parliamentarians who have eaten meat in the palace's 23 restaurants and cafes, and they actually are pretty scared, saying that they've been misled.
I think we heard some of this anti-halal sentiment in Australia, and I sort of exaggerated it when we reported on it a few months back, but I can't believe members of the Church of England are actually campaigning against halal meat for that exact reason, spreading Sharia law. It's as if you become Muslim by eating halal meat.
And Mohammed, it's disgusting because it's resonating in America, in Australia, and it feels like these pockets of bigots and, anti-Muslim Islamophobes, literally, are just coming up, and they're basically the same newspaper article reported earlier that Marks and Spencer was actually stocking halal meat without informing people, and people felt, oh my god, shock horror, they're so misled because they're being made to eat halal, and when you eat halal you become a Muslim, and then they're going to kill you if you become Muslim.
I don't think it's offensive. I just think these fear-mongering campaigns are actually working for this to actually take place. It's ridiculous, and I can't believe it's actually happening. But then again, we live in a very real, weird and colourful world, don't we, Tasneem?
Well, if you think that's weird, the UK is just getting even weirder. The UK Government Communication Headquarters, one of the UK's 3 intelligence agencies, is actually saying it's finding it really hard to hold on to staff because they're actually being lured away to work for technology giants Microsoft and Google because they can't actually match their salaries. Now, this is really bad because these people are essentially spies, and the government is actually losing out because they're being offered essentially 3 times the salary and the car given at the government. The UK Cabinet has actually confirmed that it's given the green light to stimulus packages being paid out to key staff to actually stop them from going to the private sector.
Well, you can't compete with the tech giants Microsoft and Google if they're paying 3 times your salary. I would do the same thing. The same thing applies in rugby league. Loyalty does not live today. If it does, it's like chivalry. It only exists... Chivalry.
It's like spelling and grammar doesn't exist these days.
Tomato.
Right.
You get the point.
Yes.
The Y Factor.
To Australian news now, the Sydney cancer patient who touched everyone's hearts, Christian Anderson, who was also made famous by the online video he dedicated to his wife, featuring Hugh Jackman and New Zealand's Prime Minister, has died. He actually died Monday morning at Manly Hospital. His wife confirmed his death. The 36-year-old from Curl had been, going through chemotherapy since he was diagnosed with terminal bowel cancer in October of 2009.
That's right. It was really sad. His wife said, "My darling husband went to meet Jesus this morning. It was peaceful and beautiful. Funeral details are to come soon." I think it was one of the most publicised cases of the cancer patient. It was all over YouTube. The video went viral where he actually proposed to his wife online. I think, but behind all the, and he even had Oprah Winfrey and things like that. But behind the whole hype and stuff, it's actually really, really sad to see. Cancer is actually affecting so many in our society these days. And honestly, we hold our heart and we pray, inshallah, that one day they do find a cure for this. And you just, it's like, when we think back when you're in year 10 and you read about the measles and the pox and things and how they eradicated thousands, and you think, oh my God, the cure was so simple. I hope, honestly, and I pray that one day we can look back at cancer and think the cure was so simple, we had it. So for all those, condolences to his family and to all those families who are suffering from pain and trauma of cancer patients in their lives.
Well said, Tasneem.
The Y Factor.
So the holiday death toll is at 47, and it's only increasing right around the nation. Our Y Factor message to our listeners: do not text and drive. Every time I walk out of the house, my dad's like, don't text and talk. So if we can take heed of that advice, and Rachwani in his everything rant about absolutely everything will tell us more about that. But double demerits are over, but cops are still out there on the road doing random breath tests, checking speeds. So be cautious of your speed, be prudent when you drive, and be attentive when you get a phone call whilst you're driving.
The Y Factor.
Mohammed, the weather hit 39 degrees today.
Absolutely, and the beaches have been packed. Nearly 1,300 people have been rescued from New South Wales beaches since Christmas Day. It's one of the busiest holiday periods for surf lifesavers. I'm a pool lifeguard, and I can't imagine being a surf lifesaver would entail. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of saving tourists at Bondi. The Indian and Asian tourists. I'm stereotyping, but they're very naive. It's their first time to the beach. Australia's blessed with beautiful beaches. They jump in the water, they get caught in a rip, and all of a sudden, it's a life or death situation.
The Y Factor distanced itself from Mohammed's comments.
No, it was not derogatory in any way. It was a generalization, and it was my take from Bondi Rescue, from the people getting rescued there.
The Y Factor.
All right, so that then brings us to the end of the news item for this week.
Hold on. Some positive news for the Gen Y. We are part of Gen Y, and we're actually getting smarter. It's actually been proven, and a study has been done, that Gen Y is more resilient, more mature, and I quote, the most materially endowed generation ever. So go you. If you're a young person and you're listening, high five. High
five indeed. And that's a positive message for our listeners. 2012 is your year, Gen Y. Revolutions,
Revolutions? What are you encouraging, Tasneem? Vigilante justice?
No, positive revolutions.
Anarchy?
Right.
Chaos? Social disorder?
No, Mohammed, seriously, we're good.
Yeah, well, right after the break, we're going to chat to young Muslims and their hopes and ambitions and desires for 2012. And we look back in retrospect on the year that was, 2011, and hope for, inshallah, a better year.
That is 2010.
2012. You jumped 2 years, Tasneem.
2010.
2012 was last year. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too. Let's just take a short break. You're listening to The Y Factor on 87.6 FM.
The Y Factor. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. 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 Bismillah.
I'm still hungry, Tasneem, but we're going to go to Mostafa Rachwani, our everything correspondent, who is going to chat to a young active member of the Muslim community to see what his hopes and desires are for 2012.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. We're with Ziyad here for our 2000. Assalamu alaikum, listeners. We're with Ziyad here for our 2012 aspirations piece. So we're just going to be asking you a couple of questions. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine, man.
All right. So to begin with, we just give us a rundown of who you are, what you do. What did you do beforehand before you came to this point?
Well, I'm currently a uni student. I'm studying Bachelor of Science at the University of Sydney. Well, generally, just a brief background, I'm 19 years old, and alhamdulillah, I've been pretty active with the Muslim association on campus. That was in the previous year, alhamdulillah.
So do you work with any community organizations outside of uni?
Community, yeah, alhamdulillah, I've been involved in. Yeah, not very alhamdulillah, all my work has been university student based.
Oh, university related, yeah?
Yes, all of it.
Great.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay, so from now, looking forward into 2012, what are your aspirations for the community?
Well,
and even university student communities, it's not just outside.
Well, I think what we really need to do is develop projects for upcoming high school students. Alhamdulillah, we're very active on a university scene, and to all the university students. But let's think about it. How many Muslim, for example, let's focusing on the Muslim community. There's only about 20% of Muslims end up going to uni. How about the 80%? We're not focused. Our focus is not on them. I think ourselves, uni students such as ourselves, we should develop projects which aims at these at the primary kids, high school kids, just because what's really lacking in our community is the fact that they don't feel responsibility. There's no obligation. They don't feel obligation to serve the community. So we're like, alhamdulillah, everyone has their own trials and tests Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts them through, but we have to realize that, okay, we're here to help each other. We have to be able to, you know what I mean, open our minds and our hearts a bit.
I like it. It's a great idea. It's a great thing, you know, because a lot of high school students are finding trouble in trying to get to university. So with this project, what kind of features does it entail? Like, what are you going to be doing specifically to get high school students into uni?
Yeah, well, it's not exactly focused on getting high school students to uni, but getting high school students to actually open their minds to the wider community and open their eyes to the wider community. It might just. I'm not saying I'm gonna. Inshallah, if I can find someone to help me to develop such a program, it will probably focus on like self-development and self-realization kind of thing, instead of like getting caught up in these contemporary issues that they face, or whatever their puberty or whatever they get caught up in that regards. But inshallah, like something which will develop them as an individual and possibly a leader, but just on like nothing that, you know what I mean.
That's good. So there'll be no marks then. There'll be no question of marks.
No, that's right.
That's great. That's very unique, because we get a lot of organisations these days are very focused on the marks aspect.
That's
you know.
Right. Yeah.
So, what else are you going to be working on within the university? You're going to be working with the MSA?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I'm involved in the MSA Shura, Sydney Uni. Inshallah, we're planning to have many events this year. Inshallah, like especially ones which involve interfaith dialogue.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a step forward from the past MSA events. That's great. So you've got a lot of aspirations for within your community and working within them, but have you got any personal aspirations, you know?
Personally, not really. Alhamdulillah, I'm going to finish my degree, but I just feel that personally, I need to help out the younger guys, especially the youth of today. Like, subhanAllah, everyone's just lost focus. Just getting them back on track and letting them realise that there's more to life than playing on your PlayStation, or more to life than speaking with this person or speaking with that person. We should our main focus should be to help each other get through each other's struggle.
That's great. Have you got any are you going to be doing it through lectures or through interactive kind of lessons?
You don't want something too direct. I'm a big sporting fan, so maybe organised youth days or some kind of competition. But we don't, not something that's religious focused. No, something that's something that we, like a bridge that you build to get them to realise Deen, to come back to Deen through that. But something indirect and something that will inshallah benefit them.
So are you going to be doing this through the MSA?
No, not necessarily. Inshallah, if the university associations they can help, it shouldn't be a problem. But inshallah.
So you'll be doing it independent?
Yeah, not independent. I'll do it with someone, inshallah.
Yeah, but like independent from the MSA?
Yeah. Independent from the uni scene.
Oh, that's great. It's good to see community relations developing from the university scene, you know. We don't see that a lot these days with students.
Yeah, that's right. That's another thing. We have to bridge the gap between university students and
the wider community.
The wider community, like the deadheads at Bankstown Station, or etc.
So, what areas are going to be focused on? I'm guessing Bankstown, but anything else?
Yeah, well, subhanAllah, this came day in, day out, travelling in the train and coming home during school times, and you see all the filth on the trains. They got subhanAllah. I look back as well, there was no one in the community to look up to, so you can't blame these guys. So having maybe developing some kind of program where you can get them to look up to bigger figures in the community, maybe like yourself.
So, thanks. But is it going to be a Granville area, or are you going to condense it, just start off in the Bankstown area or something like that?
You start off small, inshallah, then you
build it up?
Yeah, build it up. Good.
Inshallah, that's a great aspiration for 2012. Well, thank you, Ziyad, a lot for your interviews. Jazakallah khairan. Inshallah, we'll be seeing a lot of you over the next year.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Alright, assalamu alaikum.
The Y Factor.
Our first victim for today is only 19 years old. Rawand Al-Hinti is the secretary for MUMSA and the youth project officer for Bhanin Association in Auburn. Assalamu alaikum, Rawand, and welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam, Muhammad. Thank you for letting me be here.
Jazakallah khair. Rawand, from the Facebook discussions, mashallah, we can see that you're a very active community member, and it's great to see at such a young age people with passion. So what we wanted to have is just quickly, 2011, what did it mean for you?
2011 was a relatively slow year, but alhamdulillah, a busy year. It was my first year of uni. Alhamdulillah, I started working that year as well. Got involved with MUMSA, mashallah, amazing people, amazing efforts, alhamdulillah, for what we do in the community and all the other MSAs. So now as we're progressing on to 2012, I'm hoping to see amazing things from MUMSA, from our community, through my position at work. I'm hoping to become more involved with our youth in the community, as that's particularly my focus at work, alhamdulillah.
As a young person yourself, Mohammed, it's my turn. What are the key areas of concern in relation to youth? And obviously you deal with a wide range of youth, from the educated ones at university to the more, for example, tradie types. So what's your view on what moves the youth these days?
With the youth, my particular focus, particular issues I have with youth these days, particularly in our community, are disengaged youth, disadvantaged youth that we see around the year 9 to 12 ages, who really are turning towards deviant behaviour. It's really unfortunate. Some of that is cultural. It's cultured through their parents, what they see from their parents, their older brothers, even their older sisters, females, they're included in this as well. So that it is unfortunate that we see that in our community, where originally through Islam we are taught that education has a high standing, and respect of course has a high standing, not just towards your parents, towards your family, but to everybody else, and especially respect to yourself. So my particular issues with youth, and even within work, is to focus on disengaged students, inshallah, throughout the year, to get them more involved in the community engagement, empowerment. I think that's the most important thing.
Now, in 2011, you volunteered for MUMSA, which is a local MSA on campus, right?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Do you see it as a logical progression to become part of the executive committee this year?
I actually started volunteering with MUMSA in the second semester, so I was a little surprised that the previous exec committee was really interested, alhamdulillah, in what I had to offer them. And so for me, I guess, it did kind of feel like a natural progression. But I'm obviously not going to stage a coup against the current leadership or anything.
Hisham, listen.
Revolution.
No thanks, Hisham.
Yeah. Rawand, mashallah, you can see that you're doing a lot. How do you balance, studies with work, with extracurricular activities? I hope you have a life on the side too. Like, how do you balance
I have a life, thanks, Tasneem. No, it's a good question. And my mum and my dad ask me the same thing every day of my life. Are you focusing on everything? Are you balancing everything correctly? I think balance is very important. I just have to try and, sort out my diary. It's what I do. I'm a diary person. I carry my diary everywhere. It works for me. Write what I have to do, what I hope to do.
Would you encourage other young people to get involved with local, organisations in the community or on campus? Of
course. You have to start somewhere. It gets you everywhere. Really, that was my motto from high school. And alhamdulillah, having that determination, it's really encouraged me and pushed me to just, from high school to progress into university, and then from there to get involved with MUMSA, and then alhamdulillah, managing to secure a job. So alhamdulillah, it was good.
Volunteering for these things, how do you feel? Because sometimes people think, you do so much, what do you get out of it? So can you explain to our audience some of the sentiments or some of the feelings that go through you as you volunteer for these different projects?
That's right. Just this morning, actually, my brother did say to me, "Oh, but you're just a volunteer," when I was headed to an event. And I think that's the main difference between having a volunteer position and a paid position. Sometimes it's more fulfilling. It really is. For me, with MUMSA, it's just a spiritual fulfillment to feel like you're doing something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're not being paid for it. No one's judging you whether you're actually doing it or not. It's just something that you do for yourself and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshallah you're doing it for the community as well, for their betterment. So
now, in retrospect, in 2011, did you notice any, activities or affairs in the Muslim community that you thought as a community as a whole we can work on for this year as a young person?
Yeah, definitely. As I was saying about the youth, I did feel that I noticed specifically that a lot of younger boys, it was really made it very obvious for me how a lot of younger boys are just not involved in anything. They're not, they don't even care about their education. All they want to do is just drop out of school, hang out with their friends, hang out at the local shopping centre. It's not a good look, not for the community, not for them personally. And I think if we do aim to do anything about it, we need to think that we're not doing it just so that it's a better look for the community. We need to start helping them become better people just as individuals, as just for themselves, because what is a community but a society of individuals, really. So
All right, Jazakallah khair. And Rawand, can you give us some closing remarks, your hopes for 2012?
2012, inshallah, will be a good year. Very pumped about it. We've got a lot of important things happening with Mumsa. Just personally, I feel like I'm back in the game, doing everything I love. So inshallah, this will be a very productive year for our entire community. We've got amazing youth doing amazing things. Look at you guys, who would have thought that we'd have, the Y factor.
Muhammad's blushing.
We'll pay you $100 after the interview.
I'm not being paid. I swear, I'm not being paid to say this. Okay, so on a more serious note, I think 2012 is going to be a big year for all our youth. Hopefully, inshallah, they will all become more involved. Community engagement is very important. We'll just, inshallah, hope to empower all our young boys and young girls to become more involved.
Jazakallah khair. I think that's a positive message. And for our listeners out there, get out there, do something, and you'll feel good inside.
Absolutely.
The Y Factor.
Our second victim is double trouble. 2 formals, 2 graduations, and 2 Year 12 jerseys. We have Rashid Al-Dhaibi joining us.
That's right. Rashid graduated from Granville Boys High School. He's applied for university. He was a senior prefect and a student year advisor. Assalamu alaikum, Rashid, and welcome.
Well, what, did you just say Granville Boys?
High school, yes. There's nothing wrong with that school.
And you're applying for university? Wow.
Yeah.
No comment. I thought Mohammed was the only one that made
don't
it.
hate, appreciate.
Exactly.
All right, well, starting on that note, can you tell us a bit about your life in high school in Granville Boys?
Well, I went to Granville Boys. Anyone who knows that would know it's a disadvantage area.
We watched the
news. You can't see, but I'm doing the 30 quotation with my fingers. So we're constantly getting involved with different businesses, different communities, because every time someone wanted to give a charity a help, ours was like, we were the most good-looking charity.
Most attractive disadvantaged school.
Exactly. So yeah, we're constantly getting involved in stuff like that. So
you know about community engagement, community involvement, but from the perspective of actually being not the victim, but the one that it's being applied to.
Well, in our school, anyone who's been to such a school, we have to be a bit independent. So we started things like Interact Rotary Club, which was it's a school. It's not SRC, but it's a school program that works with Rotary International, and we kind of raise money for different funds, different charities and stuff like that. We were involved with the Cancer Council, Auburn Council, Parramatta Council, the ABCN network, different businesses and stuff. So,
and during these events, obviously these organised by students for students, what feeling did you guys get?
It was good. It was a sense of getting out of class.
Jigging?
No. It was, what kind of feeling? It was a good feeling, I guess. I can't really put a word to it.
I guess what we're trying to get at.
Yeah, I think at our school, keeping ourselves busy with extra activities was pretty much what we did. And you would know that.
And you don't need an incentive to volunteer. Like you did this, you didn't need an incentive to raise money for prostate cancer or the Cancer Council. It's out of your goodwill.
Just goodwill, yeah.
Okay, so you're obviously moving on, applying for uni now, leaving high school, and now you've come out to the real world. How do you feel?
It's so scary. We went to an open day today at Macquarie Uni. There's life outside Granville Boys. It's shocking. It's shocking. So many different people, different cultures. It's exciting, nerve-wracking, that little anxious feeling in your stomach. But I'm excited because right now it's deciding what uni and what course to do. So
speaking of uni, what course are you interested in getting into?
Well, I want to do something that's productive. So I don't want to do business or commerce or anything.
Ouch.
We
No
distance
offense, you two.
we distance ourselves from his comments. Don't worry, we're not
I
business
want
or
to help
comments.
people. So I'm thinking something along audiology, hearing, and Macquarie Uni is the way to go.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. So
Helping. Okay, go on.
Look, if you're a business student and you got offended, like, get a life. It's his prerogative, and he has every right to say so. But I'm not a business student, so I wouldn't know.
In terms of extracurricular activities within the community, whether it be the Muslim community or the wider community, do you have anything that you actually want to get involved in?
yeah, I just emailed Human International Appeal, and they sent me a volunteer form. So I want to work with them. I also want to work with the local councils and go back to school, because I remember in year 12, it was like yesterday. It's like 3 weeks ago. That we never had other kids come in, like the past alumni, and I think I just want to go back to school and just tutor the kids. And
I feel like your next sentence is going to be, I want to change the world.
So motivational. Such a young age, mashallah. But that's a good point. I think we underestimate the importance of continuity at a high school, because most students, as you know, Rashid, can relate to a student who's been there. The same background, same high school, same difficulties.
And there's so much pressure with the HSC right now. And when you don't go to, the King's School or Homebush Boys or any big school with a big
Do you mean Malik
reputation-
Fahad?
Or Malik Fahad. Didn't we have this argument?
Yeah.
No, keep going, next.
I'm just trying to rub salt into the wound.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, and you don't know what you want to do. You change your mind every 5 minutes, because what if I don't get that ATAR? What if I don't do this? What if I screw up my trials? And having more other people and other opinions.
I think even the fact that, like, as you said, being from those schools, I know a lot of other schools, for example, have exchanges with universities. So by the time they're actually at university, they've been there. Some even do subjects through university, right? But some of the schools that you've never had exposure to university, you want someone who's been to uni to tell you this is what a tute is, this is what a lecture is.
Like I was saying earlier, when someone wanted to give away charity, we were always there to take it, and all the unis used to come to our schools and take us there and stuff. But it isn't the same, because remember, they're always trying to promote their uni. You'd rather hear it from a student, someone you trust.
As a young member of the Islamic community, what hopes and, I guess, aspirations do you have for 2012?
Ooh, good question. I feel like I need to get more involved in the Islamic community. Now that I have a lot more free time, and I find that 2012 is a year of decision making for me, and a lot of paths I have to choose, and hopefully getting more involved in the community is something I want to do, and maybe drag my friends along as well.
What do you, as a young person, what do you hope to see the community?
Well,
where do you...
I don't want to sound sexist right now, but there's predominantly a lot more female Muslims, young Muslims in the Islamic community, I find, and not enough young males out there. So
More
active
Muslim females. That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's actually proven. There's a stat that says out of every... No, honestly, there is. I think out of every 10 young Muslims, about 7 to 8 of them will be female who have an interest, an avid interest, or are active in the community.
Anyone who's involved in any shura would know, unless 3/4 of your membership is female, no events are managed, nothing gets done, and you basically are screwed.
There's a famous saying where I told the people in my shura, it's like the Islamic committee on campus, I said... if you want something done, ask a female. If you want something said, ask a male. Mashallah, now females have that, very organised attitude.
No, I think I'll have to contest your quote, because I think increasingly a lot more females are coming out. Mashallah, we're hearing awesome voices. We've got, like, for example, just to, I don't know, top of my head, we've got like Amna Kara Hassan, we've got Mariam Bayzadeh on, when she was on Insight and things like that. Yeah, right.
Anyway, Rashid, just wrapping up, what's your final message to the youth of Sydney for 2012? Do you want to encourage them to get active? What's your ambition for 2012?
My ambition, I probably just to get more young males more involved in the Islamic community. I think like the Eid festival and stuff, there was a lot of females there.
Not just the Islamic community, as you said, like the Cancer Council, things like that. They need volunteers,
Yeah, and in our religion, the females are a lot more confined to different things, right? Where males have more flexibility. So males should get more involved. Like if you go to a lecture, at least 3/4 of the people there are female.
Absolutely.
So males show initiative.
Exactly. So I think if that's one ambition, is to get more of my friends involved, more of me involved, and more of
everyone involved.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it first. Rashid Al-Dhaibi, calling out to all young Muslim males to get active in the community.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Rashid. Inshallah,
you.
we'll be looking to chase you up at the end of the year to see where you've actually come. We wish you the best with university. Trust me, it's actually one of the most interesting places you'd be. It's challenging, it's rewarding.
It's a melting pot.
Exactly. And being a part of Mumsa, I think, is a bit incriminating. However, good luck to you if you end up doing that. And again, once again, thanks to you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I love this show.
Did I just say thanks to you? I think it's a Granville Boys thing
Yeah,
rubbing
we're
off on me.
you.
Thank you.
But that was another plug. We'll pay you $100 on the side.
No worries.
The Y Factor.
Wow, I think that was some really inspirational words from our young audience, and it just fills you up with hope. Like, young people have so much to offer, and alhamdulillah, we're just out there and, ready for change.
Absolutely.
Yes, no, maybe.
Absolutely. I'm ready to change the world, and you know what? Our last guest will hopefully inspire us even more to change the world. Her name is Hoda. Assalamu alaikum, Hoda, and welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Hoda. Now, can you tell us, in 2011, was there any event or any experience that you personally went through that you felt was, that was the deciding factor for you, and you'd like to, it to inspire 2012?
I was fortunate enough to visit the Respite Centre in Birang for the intellectually disabled clients. And I walked in, got the shock of my life, because I saw these clients that really touched your heart when you looked at them, because you'd think that they might not understand you, or they're living in a total different world from you. But really, at the end of the day, they are humans. They are, living the same world, living the same life that you're living in. Might just have a little, what you don't have. But at the end of the day, they're really, really soft-hearted. When you speak to them, all they do is try to speak to you, try to get the best out, and just talk from their heart. And you really don't find this in people these days. They're everyone wants to live like a dream or whatever, but these clients, they really, really honestly touch your heart. And you wake up to yourself and you think, wow, I have it so easy. I wake up, I can walk, I can do things on my own. These people, they need help every second of their life. And they really do appreciate it. When you do something, they really appreciate what they do.
SubhanAllah. Was that experience a turning point in your life, would you say?
Yes, I honestly think so, because it's a wake-up call not only for me, but even if you think that, I appreciate everything in life, but once you see them, you think, wow, I honestly didn't think life was like this. And these are people amongst us. They might walk right next to you, and you would have no clue what they go through every single day just to live their life as so-called, you would want to call it, normal. But to them it's much more than just waking up and doing the same routine and being bored. And I guess they appreciate every second.
And how did that help you to proactively change your life and your plans for 2012?
Well, when you see them, you kind of think back to yourself and everything you do, instead of saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to go work today and just nag about everything, or I'm going to see this person as usual and they're going to say this and whatever. You kind of appreciate everything, even when you're walking. Just a simple thing as just walking, knowing that you can get to one place without falling, without, hurting yourself, without needing someone to hold your hand, or something as small as, going to the bathroom. You can go by yourself, you can do it, and you don't need anyone's help. So you kind of wake up to yourself and really realize and appreciate everything you have. And honestly, from the depth of your heart, say alhamdulillah for everything that God has given me, not only, body-wise, but people around us, the life that we're living in. We have it really easy, and I guess for this new year, that's what we need to focus on, that we have life very, very easy. Yes, we complain, but once you see people like that, you wake up to yourself and think, okay, you know what? My life is nothing compared to theirs.
SubhanAllah, reminds me of the verse in Surah Al-Rahman, the repetitive verse, which of Allah's favours can we deny?
Yeah.
You bring up very good points. So I guess what you're trying to say is, and correct me if I'm wrong, more gratitude from the young people, more shukr, more acknowledgement, you know, and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings we have.
Yes.
That's very important because it is seriously lacking in our community.
That's right. I think it is. And in terms of a community perspective, I think as community, activists and leaders and things like that, we always need to see the marginalised within our community. Sometimes we get focused on and wrapped up around, having big events that cater for, the maximum number of people, but hardly do we ever stop and think about disability access, about access for those who don't have, the facilities to find out. They don't have a computer, they don't, they can't hear on the radio. So I think to actually find out innovative ways to actually reach out to these minorities, because subhanAllah, they're disadvantaged, in many ways, and if we can, reach out to them and change their life, what more could we want?
Absolutely. Now finally, Hoda, what's your final message to the youth for 2012?
I guess be happy with whatever you have, because one moment that really touched me was one of the girls there. She's probably like 40 years old, but she acts like a child, but she gets really, like, honestly really, really happy. The smallest things you do to her, like if you just listen to her for 1 minute, she would start crying from pure happiness.
SubhanAllah.
Like, that to me is, I think you should just keep that in mind for the rest of the year. Like, every second, every moment you have, every opportunity you get, brace it, be happy, and just live life. Like, stop complaining, stop whinging, and just go with the flow and be happy.
I think that's a very positive message for 2012. Alhamdulillah, we live in one of the luckiest, most safest, most affluent countries on earth, and Islamically, that should be our attitude of optimism, of hope, and of looking to the future. So that is our 2012 message. Huda, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. It's highly appreciated.
Thank you.
And inshallah, we'll take a short break, Mohammed. We'll be back with Mostafa Rachwani and his rant segment. Stay tuned towards the end also for the events happening this week. You're listening to The Y Factor on 87.6 FM.
Our everything correspondent Mostafa Rachwani joins us in the studio. Mostafa, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, Muhammad?
Alhamdulillah. How was your holiday?
It was good, but I'm angry about a couple of things. I'm feeling the rant inside.
Are you?
Yeah, a lot of things, man.
We're in 2012, and isn't that meant to be like the end of the world or something? Talk to me.
This is something that annoys me very much. 2012, end of the world. Everyone's going on about it. This is it. No, it's not. Okay, it's absolutely not. This is something that has gone from ridiculous to unbelievably absurd. Okay, this is comes from the Mayan calendar, right? The Mayan calendar apparently ends, and this is with quotation marks, ends on the 21st of December 2012. Whoa! Now, due to Hollywood and all these crazy things.
Oh, hold on. So I thought it was meant to end at the start of 2012.
Nah, my friend. Nah.
So they could possibly be right?
Oh, what? Where? Wait, let me explain to you. Okay. 21st of December 2012 is the day that they've set. Okay. So this is what I'm going to explain it to you. At the end of your calendar, your normal calendar, 31st of December, does the world end? No, there's the 1st of January, the next day, right?
That's right.
Because that's the way it goes. It's a cycle. It's a calendar. That's the same thing with the Mayan calendar. Yeah? After the 21st of December, it changes again. There's another cycle. It's not the end of the world. This is something that Hollywood and the people behind it have just
blown out of proportion.
Exactly. They've just concocted some crazy-ass idea just so that they can promote this idea. It's doomsday. It's end of the world, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm telling you now, everyone who's listening, I don't care what you're going to say on the Facebook page. This is absolute, and I'm going to say it, it's absolute crap, all right? It's not the end of the world.
Whoa. Okay, you dropped the C word. All right, take it easy. I know you're angry, Rachwani, but take it easy.
Goose for Okay, so I'm going to move straight on to the next bit. Now, I know everyone's on holiday. Well, a lot of people are on holidays. Some of us are working, and we always love to rush around. Young people always driving and speeding. You always got something to text about or write about. Now, I'm going to give you all a piece of advice, yeah? Don't text while you drive. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's sound advice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's very simple, right? Just don't text when you drive. So I was on a blog the other day and I was reading about a guy, a scenario, right? So there was a guy in a big truck. This is a big truck, like a semi-trailer. Okay, he was driving along the highway and he was, wait for it, he was texting in one hand, he was talking on the other hand, and he was controlling the rig with his knees.
Wow.
Now,
This takes stupidity to a whole new level. Like, all right,
I think it takes multitasking to a whole new level.
No, if it was a woman, all right, fair enough. Women can multitask. No, I'm kidding, ladies. So like he was driving with his neighbors. He's got a big rig, like a semi-trailer. It's just something that could like run over someone and kill him on the spot. And he's texting and on the phone at the same time. Like, it is a whole new level of stupid. Just don't do it. The amount of kills, you said it today. How much was it? 47 over the Christmas period.
47, yeah. The dead
that is
toll for
unbelievable.
the holiday season.
Unbelievable. In Australia, 47 people dying on the roads. What are you doing to do this? Like, it's very simple. Don't go. All right, fine. If you want to go 60, 70, all right, fine. That's normal. But do not use your phone while you're on the road. It's a simple idea. Okay. People are dying from these things, and it's not the way forward. You know what I mean?
Okay. What would you suggest about using the loudspeaker? I know you mean don't obviously talk handset, but how about the loudspeaker?
Loudspeaker is alright. You get a quick conversation. I'm on my way. Blah blah blah. That's what I do with you, don't I? It's alright. But I'm talking about texting, because texting, the difference is that you got to hold up the phone and you got to look at it. Or necessarily you got to look down. You're looking away from the road. Whereas if loudspeaker, put it on your lap, put it on the dashboard, you're still looking on the road. The important thing is what you're seeing, right? Texting is so dangerous because you're looking away. You can't look away. Doesn't your driving instructor tell you that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't look away from the road. Even my dad and my mum yelled at me every time I look away from the road. It's so dangerous.
Did you get a job with the RTA by any chance over the holidays?
No, I just faced a lot of really dumb drivers, Auburn and stuff. You know how it is, man.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so
don't be hating on Auburn. It's every area.
Mate, the food there is brilliant. Okay, so last piece for Rachwani's rant this week. As we all know, John Howard has been honoured by the Queen. Now, this brings up one of my favourite topics in the world, right? The monarchy. The monarchy is old. You know the Arabic word mutakhallif?
Yeah.
Mutakhallif means backwards thinking, yeah? It means to think backwards, to think of the old days, the dark days. This is what the monarchy is. It is the dark day. Tell me one future, like a nation that's looking to the future that has a king. Not even a king, a queen. Like, where do you come with these things? And their son gets married and they give him the Duke of Edinburgh. Ooh, well done. Welcome to the modern nation, modern generation, Move on from this monarchy. Monarchy is a waste of time. You know what the original idea for monarchy was? That the king was chosen by God. Come on, man. What is this crap?
The chosen one.
Yeah. This goes back like hundreds of thousands of years. You think that, they always talk about liberals and modernizing everything. You think they modernize their own government? Instead of keeping this crap, now they want to give sirs and knighting and dames. What is this? What is it? Where did this come from? You know how old this is, man? This is the Dark Ages. This was like before the Renaissance, before Islam, before all these things came into thing, and they're keeping it. Like, oh my God, how much has changed between then and now? It's almost 1,000 years. Oh man, it's just.
So what's your message to Queen Elizabeth II?
Get off your throne. That's it. Just get off.
And who would you give the title to?
Man, I don't care what they do. Democracy. I don't care what the result. The alternative. All I care is that the monarchy is killed. Is dead. Gone. Finished. I hate the monarchy. It is mutakhallif.
Wow.
Yeah, big words, eh?
I like it.
Yeah, intense.
Rachwani, that was a very intense rant.
All right, now
time.
I'm feeling better now. All
right, what are your hopes? Very quickly, what are your hopes for 2012?
I hope the community picks up its game. It's gaining a lot of momentum. I hope to go to more events. As a Muslim, I hope to be a better Muslim over the next year. You know how it is.
Inshallah,
and get good marks in uni.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, Rachwani.
Jazakallah khairan.
That was a very fiery Rachwani, wasn't it, Tasneem?
That's right. And our audience, if you are for Rachwani or against Rachwani, let us know your views on Facebook. I think although he did make it out to be a kind of comic corner, some of the issues he discussed are actually pertinent issues. And just even in Australia, in relation to the Republican versus monarchy debate, it's been going on for years. We had a referendum about it. So these are definitely pertinent issues.
That's some valid points as well.
Definitely pertinent issues in our society.
Definitely.
So let us know your thoughts on Facebook. Now, just quickly, the events for this week. We have the click factor, getting married and staying married. Sheikh Ala Al-Sayed, you might know him from Al-Kawthar courses last year. He came here, had the Home Sweet Home event. MashaAllah, it was a packed out event. He had a event at the UMA, packed. Basically, he tackles the issue of marriage from a practical modern day perspective, and he'll answer some hard-hitting questions and social taboos. Inshallah, it's an interactive seminar. It will be this Sunday, the 8th of January, brain freeze. Sunday, the 8th of January 2012, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the LMA Function Centre next to Tilakamba Mosque. The cost is $20. The tickets are sold at the door, however, places are highly limited. So if you're interested in getting married and staying married, make sure you're there for the Click Factor course.
And the Y Factor will be taking the Click Factor to court over copyright and patent of the name.
That's right. Okay, so I think that was a bam of an episode to start 2012
Absolutely.
with.
We hopefully started off with a bang, and inshallah we gave some inspiration to our young listeners out there in regards to their hopes, your hopes and desires for 2012.
Exactly.
It's going to be a massive year. A lot of events are coming up in Jan, and our much anticipated launch
In February.
That's right. More details will come out. It's going to be like a live game show, a dinner you've never ever been to before.
And some awesome speakers as well as an international guest. We're not releasing any more details, so stay tuned inshallah. And again, Facebook discussions, keep it going, mashallah. Very interactive, very interesting, and we'd love to hear your views as well on pertinent topics as well as on the Y Factor.
Absolutely. We love you all from the Y Factor. Welcome to 2012. Get ready for an action-packed year. I'll use the word again.
That's right. And from the Y Factor team, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.